Hi there. So we're now in a new section. Okay, we've left behind the section on our broken economic system, and we've talked about how our debt-based economy is ruining the lives of people like you and I, and is only benefiting the lives of the people who are in charge of printing money, especially as they issue it as debt. Okay. We also went through some possible solutions to getting out of this debt-based economy, and how we can start producing things for ourselves, become creative, and add new value into the system. So we could have a system that's based on the water cycle, where money is just constantly recycled into the system, and you don't save it, you don't take it out, you just spend it, and having a value backed economy, so that the basis behind it, instead of being debt which is worth nothing, or it's worth negative, so that you constantly owe the issuers of the money, have a value-backed economy based on life. For example, life is inherently valuable, more valuable than anything. I mean, life itself is it's magic, and how can you can't put a price on magic. I mean, it's you think about the fact that human beings can reproduce. They don't have to pay anything, they don't have to do anything, and this life just appears out of nowhere. So life itself doesn't need money, doesn't need to be backed. Life itself is valuable. It has its own inherent value. So if we have an economic system based on life, then really we have an infinite and unlimited economy. We also looked at how having a debt-based system, especially I didn't go into it too deeply, but the central banking systems, they own all the major corporations. So they own the media, they own the food industries, they own the petroleum industry, they own it all. So there's no escaping it, and any change that happens has to happen from the bottom. It has to be us that do it. Because if we wait on the politicians, there's no point asking a politician to change it, because they're owned by the bankers anyway. Don't ask the bankers, they're not going to change it. I mean, it's just a little simple thing like the fact that the bankers own the petroleum industry means that human beings are not free to pursue free energy, for example, because the bankers won't let them. Because any time anybody comes up with any idea like Tesla, it's taken down, because the banks make money on energy, you see. So free energy is not they're not interested in it. So, and I'm quite well aware that the last section maybe talked about things that you were not particularly comfortable about hearing, or things that came as a surprise. Maybe you knew all these things already, but the thing you may be asking yourself is why has it taken this long to get to hear about it? Why is this stuff not taught? And at the end of the day, it's like my much loved mentor Russell Brunson says, it all comes down to bad marketing at the end of the day. Now, what's marketing? Marketing is nothing other than changing beliefs with the intent of a sale. Okay, now the sale might be of a physical item. It might just be an idea. So, for example, you could say that I'm doing marketing now in this course, where I'm marketing to you. I'm trying to change your belief about how our economic system works, with the idea of selling you on the idea of continuing on the next steps towards financial freedom. Okay? Not because I'm doing it to make money for myself, but because I want you to take the steps towards financial freedom, so that, as you make the change and other people make the change, we can start changing the economy from the bottom down. So the marketing that our economy has, if you think about it, is through school. And when you realize that the bankers control the government and the government controls the schools, then what actually gets taught in schools is what the bankers say should get taught in schools. And what they teach is how their debt-based economy is the best. If you ask I get into massive arguments with economists about our economic system. People with degrees, they've been to university to study economics, and I planned before them the water-based economic system, the water cycle-based economic. That will never work, well, because I learned in university that this and this and this and this. But what you've got to understand is that what they learn in university has been dictated by the bankers. So what are they going to teach them other than what the bankers want to know? So the marketing that's being done at the minute on how our society works is done through our schools and universities that are controlled by the bankers. So unless there's somebody out there doing marketing to the other system, which is what I'm doing right now, then the problem is marketing. The reason that you haven't heard any of these principles before is because it's all down to bad marketing. Bad marketing. Now, bad marketing can either be because the marketing itself isn't very good or because it's marketing something that is inherently bad. So the ideas that I'm putting forward may come across as ludicrous. They may come across as impossible. They may come across as, it's just like anything new that you come across. When you first look at it, you think, well, that's never heard that before. That can't be right. That goes against 20 years or 30 years of experience, so that can't possibly be true. But yet at the same time, when I draw the water cycle based system economy on here, it makes sense on paper because it makes sense, because it works, because it will work. Just because it flies in the face of tradition doesn't mean it's wrong or it's impossible. You see, tradition is something that we like to uphold because we like the safety of things being the same. But we even get to the point as human beings where we defend something that doesn't work purely because we've always done it that way. Now, that's why I don't see the point in defending a debt-based economy just because we've always had a debt-based economy, or rather, we've always had a debt-based economy as long as we can remember. You see, this is the thing. I mean, I've talked before about how you can change a country in two generations. About how in the UK, when my grandfather was alive, we used to use the imperial measurement system. So things were measured in inches, in feet, and in yards and miles, and things were weighed in stones, pounds, and ounces. But when my father went to school, the change was being made to the decimal system, to the base 10 system. And by the time I went to school, everything was just taught in base 10, in the decimal system. So in 2 generations, we went from a country that measured in an imperial system to a country that measured in both, to a country that only measured in decimal. So in the way that those things can be changed in 2 generations, we can change any tradition in 2 generations. Which is where I want to go with this. I want people to realize that there's another option. There, not just another option. There are other options. And as a species, as humans, we are capable of doing anything we put our minds to. So if we're not wanting this debt-based economy anymore, and we want to change it to a circular economy, a recycling economy, not only with money but with everything. If we start to manufacture goods that we know at the end of their manufacture can be recycled, then we're not going to be constantly raping the planet and digging for more resources and digging for more resources and digging and just raping Mother Earth. We make things that can be recycled. They are designed to be recycled. And we start getting economies again that are circular. I mean, nature is circular. I mean, the whole sort of, a plant comes out of the ground, it gets eaten by a caterpillar, then a bird eats the caterpillar, then a human eats the bird, and then the human dies and goes into the ground, and it's food for the plant. You see, nature itself is circular, but yet human beings, we do everything on a linear basis. We instead of things being a circle, we do things like that. So we say this is the beginning and this is the end. And that's it. Whereas nature actually links the two of them together. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's just one constant cycle. So as human beings, we need, we should start looking at nature and saying, well, nature actually, it constantly renews itself. So anyway, to get back to the bad marketing, it's all about bad marketing. At the end of the day, the reason nothing changes is because nobody is marketing the other options. All we get taught is what we get taught in school and university, which is all controlled by the bankers at the end of the day. So bad marketing. We need to start marketing other things. We need to start looking at other solutions. And this is what we're going to go through in this section about how we actually make that transition. I'm going to start talking to you now about the things that we're going to go through in step 2 and what we're going to learn in step 2 so that we can start changing now our economic system, and we can start doing it from the bottom up together. I'll teach you how it is that I've gained financial freedom, exactly how I did it, so that you can do it too. And it's all down to bad marketing. It's all down to not being shown the other possibilities, you see. So this is what step 2 is all going to be about. It's going to be about seeing the possibilities, changing what you've been taught is possible, and teach you something else, something different, which will show you the actual possibility you have. You are unlimited as a human being. You are here, you have so much value to give, but yet you're told to just sit down, shut up and obey. No, you are here to live, you're here to thrive, you're here to have a great time, but we're told we're just here to work and earn money. And that's not the way it is at all. So I'll see you in the next lesson, and have a great day. Bye-bye.